Huko ni kwa matoke, huko ndio nilisomea huko. Tanzania Parliament. Kwa Mama Suluhu, karibu sana. National Lands Commission, the Kenya Judiciary, Mzalendo Kenya, and our resource persons, Vanessa Akiwimi, I think she's not here, Professor Robert Oduori, Dr. James Oranga, Dr. Martin Koyabe, karibu daktari, and wish to acknowledge the presence of our directors, Director Hansard and Audio Services, National Assembly, Madam Karibu, Director Hansard Audio Services Senate, Madam Ndeda Karibu, and our President and the Executive Council, karibu sana, and our rapporteurs, karibu. I would like to have the following in front. Enoch Bosire, Head of ICT. This panelist should come over. Nimrod Ochieng, David Milimi, Machakos County Assembly Representative, Kiambu County Assembly Representative, Nyeri County Assembly Representative, and Kajiado County Assembly Representative. Can we have them in front?
In the absence of those panelists, you can have members of my task force. They can be leaders.
Oh,
That's in there.
in there. Do we have these panelists around? In the absence of that, we can have the facilitators coming over. Dr. Koyabe, you can come over, and you'll be assisted by a task force team led by Abdulmajid. Yeah. So we are in day 5, season 1, the place of Hansard in the AI world. We can
Call the task force members.
okay. All the task force members. All the task force members, you can come over.
6 plus 1. You see them around? No. Okay.
I just take over. They will join us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name's, we were told not to say my names. I am Abdulmajid Ahmed. I think most of you, we have interacted before through trainings at the Center for Parliamentary Studies. So I'm here today to present my view about this topic, the place of Hansard in the AI world. However, upon a lot of reflection and based on my experience, I thought it wise to twist the topic a bit because what came to my mind is the story of the egg and the chicken, which came first. So in this case, we're talking about the Hansard and AI, which came first. It is the Hansard. So I twisted the topic to read the place of AI in the Hansard world, because I believe the Hansard, the AI has a role to play in the Hansard, but the converse must not be true. So this is what I'll be talking about today. Unfortunately, the time allocated will not be sufficient, so I'll try to truncate my presentation to fit into at least 20 minutes. Then I'll have 5 minutes of something to demonstrate here, and then I'll leave the rest of the time to my colleague, my compatriot, Dr. Koyabe. So to start us off, it's not showing. Interesting. Yeah. Just let's see. Wonderful. So to start off, my original presentation was that I would have taken us through the journey of Hansard, but fortunate for me, my seniors, the two directors, did that. They told us where we started, which year, 18, blah, 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 Thomas Carson, Hansard. So I'll not repeat those things because that is where we are coming from. And it is important for us to understand where we are coming from for us to actually forge the way forward on where we want to be. So of course we started with manual typewriters, we moved on to the blue screen. Of course, in ICT terms, we know what the blue screen means. It's called the blue screen of death. But in this case, it was not the blue screen of death, but the blue screen of Microsoft DOS operating system 5.1. Then we moved on to the earliest forms that we could get in the 2007, 2008. We moved to Microsoft Office and Windows operating system. And now we have evolved from the earliest form we started with, I don't know if it was Windows 2000 and whatever, up to now we are here, I think 2010, I don't know which is the latest, Microsoft. So fortunate for us, we are still evolving in terms of technology. And AI has come to be with us. And it will be foolhardy for us to ignore it. I don't, with a lot of respect to my colleagues who said that we should not be very eager to adopt and all that. But there is a saying by Roosevelt that the winds of change cannot be stopped. There are those, and then the Chinese came and added that the winds of change, when the wind is blowing, there are those of us who like to build walls so that we protect ourselves from the wind. But there are those again who, in their wisdom, instead of building walls, what do? They build windmills. So this is a Chinese saying. So instead of when the wind is blowing, don't build a wall. Make something out of it. So again, I want us to, I'm not a Christian, but I have read the Bible. My professor, my lecturer yesterday talked about those who are saved. Maybe you can tell us, what does Hosea 4:6 say? Anybody? Thank you, Amangombe. My people perish for lack of knowledge. So we are in the 21st century. Please, nobody should say we lack knowledge. Knowledge is there, everywhere, in your pocket, on your TV, everywhere you go, there is information flowing around you. Okay? So let us not be those people who are spoken about by Hosea in the Bible that perished for lack of knowledge. Then, lastly, Roosevelt said the only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. So for those of us who are doubting this technology, I want to tell you with confidence that all these other technologies that came before AI, they were met with the same doubts. But here we are today. Let us talk about, for example, the computer when it was invented. And my lecturer spoke about the supercomputer. I've never seen it, but it was there. It has led to what we have now, the smart tablets, the smartphones, and our laptops. Then we had the internet. It was also met with the same doubts, doubting Thomases, but here we are today. It has led to AI. We also now have, it has developed into machine learning, and other things that have led to AI. So I would like to talk about the traditional Hansard. Before I talk about now where we want to go, briefly, let us look at the traditional Hansard. How is the traditional Hansard? It's a lot of manual labor. We have the Hansard of National Assembly today has almost 70 officers. I'm sure the Senate is almost, there are 45. So we are having a complement of 100 plus, actually almost 130 officers doing transcription. So it is labor intensive. Secondly, let's talk about accuracy. When it comes to human delivery of transcripts, it's not perfect. We humans are not perfect because I forgot, which is normal. But on the other hand, technology comes to say otherwise. Then the other issue is efficiency. How fast do we produce this work? The standing orders say within 48 hours we must have produced the Hansard, and for committee work we are given 72 hours. Yet, with technology, we know that this can be done faster. Then there is the issue of apart from accuracy and sorry. Challenges of technology here. My mouse is not responding. Sorry. It's okay. So anyway, I can proceed there. So all these challenges that we are talking about, we are labor intensive, efficiency is not up to the point we would like it to be. Speed also is limited to our human strengths or weaknesses for that matter. So now comes the issue of artificial intelligence. When we talk about artificial intelligence, there are so many developments that have happened. And like I said on day one, AI, as opposed to the misconception or the myth we've had that it is a new thing. No, AI is not new. AI is 70 years old. It started way back in the 50s, where some officers developed neural networks to do basic stuff. So research has been ongoing for so many years, and this has led to where we are today, where now the technology has become more smart. So AI comes in to deal with the setbacks or the challenges that we face with traditional Hansard production process. We are talking about improved accuracy and efficiency. AI-based speech recognition software, it enhances user experience and it improves accuracy and efficiency. How? You feed it, and in a minute or two, you have the text. You take another, how many minutes to edit? 10, 20? In short, within 30 minutes, if you are an efficient officer, if I may say so, you can produce a 10-minute take. Or if we are to give you an allowance, you can take 45 minutes, which is too much for in my view, because you are using technology. Then there's the issue of multilingual support. I've had one presenter here saying, oh, we've hired a translator. We don't need a translator. All we need is investment in technology. I know some of you will say, oh, you will be fired. Yes, you will. If you don't work hard, if you don't adapt, if you don't ensure that you move with the technology. As I said, if the wind of change is blowing, when it blows, you cannot stand against it. All you can do is fly with it. Okay? Find some wings, fly with it. And I'll explain how you fly with technology in my subsequent slides. So there's also the issue of accents and dialects. And even before I go to accents and dialects, let's talk about, for example, Kenya. We have 3 languages, English, Kiswahili, and sign language. I've had people say, oh, it cannot transcribe Kiswahili. I am here to debunk that myth. And I will actually demonstrate that AI can transcribe Kiswahili with 90% accuracy or more. Unless, of course, the Kiswahili is with heavy intonations of other mother tongue influences. I don't want to mention names, but we know there are some people with a lot of, they speak with a lot of mother tongue influence, even if they are speaking English and even in Swahili. Professor will agree with me. So I don't know about that, but with AI, we are all aware that you can train AI. So for instance, if we are talking about, I'm looking at a new parliament. New members have just come in. We have taken them through orientation. So one of the things that I'll be recommending is that once we adopt this system, part of the orientation should be we get a lot of recordings of these members. Maybe we can take, after the first month of their entry into parliament, let's assume they've done 200 hours of speeches in parliament. These are the hours now which will be used to train the AI, because you are aware of something called machine learning. So the system learns. The more you expose it to data sets, the more it learns. So with time, this problem of mother tongue influence and blah, blah, blah can be taken care of, because it would have learned Honorable so-and-so speaks like this, because it has a lot of data from the speeches which that Honorable has spoken. So these are all things that can be dealt with time. Yes, the AI also has the capacity to drive productivity and efficiency. We are talking about hands-free operation. When I came into the Hansard, I remember members of parliament would rise up to speak, and immediately they finished speaking, they would just walk out to the editor's or director's office and ask for their debates. In their minds, they thought, this sound is recorded, it is inputted into a system, a computer system, and the other end where the printer is connected, a transcript is generated. That is the mindset they had. That was not true, because we were very, very mechanical and manual in our production. So it would take minimum an hour for us to produce a rough draft. So maybe those members were ahead of their time, because I think we are coming to that edge where that transcript in its most raw form can be produced by that system. This is the time, because the audio goes in, the transcript goes out the other side. If someone wants a raw copy, maybe 10 minutes to correct a few things here and there, and they have the raw transcript. Then there is the issue of streamlined documentation process. The software solution streamlined documentation, allowing faster, more efficient data entry and record keeping. I think that's what I've been saying all along. Then the beauty of AI and these systems is that they have the capacity to be integrated with other systems. And I'll give an example. Right now, the National Assembly has a task force which is currently working to modernize the chamber system. Okay, so this chamber system is a system that includes documentation, how members lay their documents, how they reach, they are distributed, disseminated, blah, 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 blah. Access to other acts of parliament when need be. So once we produce, we implement this Hansard system, the AI-based system, you can now integrate it with that other app. They can talk to each other. If there's a system, for example, which is for the table office, they will be talking to each other. I've had reporters complaining, oh, when a document is tabled, it's very hard to get it. I'm a clerk, once the voting has been concluded in the chamber, the clerk leaves, locks it in his drawer and goes home. You can't, and that doesn't answer phone. Now with this system, it is possible to integrate those systems. Once the paper has been laid, it is digitized, or maybe it is laid also digitally. It is in that system, which is integrated into our system. We just need to go. Whoever needs access will be given those rights by the ICT officer. So it makes life actually easier. So there's the other issue of empowering accessibility and inclusivity. We are aware that our constitution mandates us to be inclusive in terms of workforces. We must think of the persons living with a disability. We must think of regional balancing, etc. Now, let me focus on persons with disability. So AI systems have come with features that make it easy for persons with disability to continue working like other normal people. For instance, we have assistive technology, voice-controlled interfaces, which now, for example, we have one such officer in the Hansard. If we had this system, once they have been assigned a part to do, the voice-controlled interfaces will be very useful for them because it helps them to easily access what has been recorded. My notes cannot, let me just, can we do this? Then there is the issue of advanced search capabilities. We are aware that we've been talking about retrieval, archival, retrieval. Someone comes and asks for the Hansard of 1920 to Rudy, where Bunge discussed the Ilemi triangle. I think Kenya was in contest about the Ilemi triangle. That happened a long time ago. So if someone were to ask you to look for that Hansard now, some time back we were using diskettes, so you'd have to go to that drawer, start searching for which diskette is it, it was which year, or flash disk or hard disk. So AI indexes your reports automatically. And when I talk about indexing, please don't confuse with the index that is put in a published volume at the end. Okay? This is now a digital index that helps with searchability of content in your document. So it's very easy for the AI system to pinpoint a specific item that you are looking for. Then there is the issue of cost effectiveness. As often spoken, automation lead to cost savings. Why or how? Because you reduce the need for manual labor. And then secondly, it streamlines workflow. And this leads to something else. It leads to effectiveness of utilization of scarce resources. We are aware that our resource envelopes keep shrinking. So I am sure our employer is always thinking about how can we make good use of the little resources that we have. Okay, so one of them is automation. So in as much as manual labor will be reduced, automation will lead to more cost effectiveness. It will lead to more efficiency and such other advantages. Then there's the advantage of preservation of institutional knowledge. So AI can assist in preserving institutional knowledge Of course, by the accurate transcription of debates. This ensures valuable information is archived and easily retrievable. Then another advantage that we will have by introducing AI is real-time monitoring and analysis of parliamentary sessions. This might allow for instant analysis of key points raised during debates, and this will help somewhere with timely decision making. Occasionally, Madam Director asked for a report, maybe a quarterly report from me, or an semi-annual report, or an annual report of the Hansard production. I have to go to the audio record officers. How many committee sittings did we have last year? How many plenary sittings? I have to now sit down, collect all that information, and now do a report. But with AI, I don't need to go through all that trouble. Actually, AI generates those reports for you. At a glance, you just click a button and you have your report. You just now put the coloring words around it and you are good to go. Then there is the issue of data security. There's been a lot of talk about AI will lead to security challenges and all that. Yes, it is true. With any new technology comes challenges. One of it is the worry about data security. So, however, AI developers are people who are in business. The last thing they want is for their technology to be said not to be safe, that it is vulnerable to hacking and all that. So they're putting in robust security measures which can help guard sensitive parliamentary data. A good example is Estonia, where we went for benchmarking. Their system, not only for parliament, the whole government is run on an AI-based framework. They have a system called the X-Rod. The X-Rod is a backbone of backbone infrastructure on which now all the other systems in the government run. For example, now the hand system which the Estonian parliament, the Riigikogu, uses is anchored on the X system. One, there are several layers of security. The first layer is within your institution. Of course, you have the firewalls and all that, the antivirus system, the access permissions, etc. Then there's the second layer of security, which comes now from the service provider of the AI system. And then the third layer of security now for the Estonian government is the backbone itself, its firewall. So this might make it very difficult. Although hackers don't sleep, they're always coming up with new ways. But even the developers of the security measures are, I'm sure, not sleeping. They are up to the challenge. Then I wanted to talk about which softwares, because I'm trying to truncate my presentation, which softwares or which systems are there that can be used by parliamentary Hansard departments or directorates. So there are many Hansard systems or AI systems. For example, I'll give examples of systems that are actually there and working in parliaments. I'm not talking about the labyrinth of systems that are, or web-based systems that are there online, where you and I can just go do a trial or even subscribe to. I'm talking about customized systems that work for parliament. The first one is called speech to write. Speech to write is a system that is in use in the Netherlands, House of Representatives. So this system is designed to convert voice to written reports efficiently. Of course, it uses automatic speech recognition, and it also have basic automated editing capabilities to transcribe and edit those speeches. So one advantage is that it enhances the written reports. It removes filler words. You know, members like to say, or repeating Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Even in one paragraph, they would do so 3, 4, 5 times. So this AI-based software can remove all those filler words. Then the second example, so that system actually ensures minimal human interaction. I'm wrapping up. I'm just giving the examples. Then Japan has what we call the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies, GRIPS, in Tokyo. So they developed a system which leverages on data from the Diet of Japan to make parliamentary videos searchable. Okay, so this system utilizes advanced speech recognition techniques to match video feeds from parliamentary sessions with official minutes. So by integrating machine learning capabilities and AI, the GRIP system is able to analyze audio and visual information from parliamentary debates, and in the numbers automatic selection of relevant highlights for parliamentary discussion through the analysis. So for example, now we have the parliamentary broadcasting, not broadcasting, parliamentary budget office. They have very many officers who sit now to do analysis of the impact of bills when they come to parliament, amongst others, including the financial impact. So with this technology, you just need to feed information to the system and it will give you those analyses. You will just specify what is the financial impact of this bill and you feed it there and it will tell you A, B, C, D in very few minutes, as opposed to a financial analyst in the PBO taking 2 days to deliver the analysis. So I'm giving an example of the system in Japan. Then we go to the US House of Representatives. For them, I did not get information on Hansard, but they are using an AI system which helps them in legislative drafting. And this tool automates the process of analyzing discrepancies between bills, amendments, and even existing laws. It uses what we call natural language processing technology. It interprets legal provisions described in bills. It even retrieves relevant information and executes mandatory instructions accurately. So you can see the kind of help it gives to legislative drafters in the US House, because now it improves the turnaround time needed to deliver on such reports. So finally, let me talk about Estonia, where I physically interacted with the system. Their parliament, called the Riigikogu, introduced the system, which is AI-based, called the HANS system. So the intention of this introduction was to streamline the Hansard production processes, because before the introduction of this system in 2020, they were very manual, just like we are. In fact, they were using what was it the clerk of the House of Commons said, stenographers. They are using stenographers. So that was a very intricate work, and it took time. So they introduced the AI-based system called the HANS, and it was aimed to replace that outdated software and transcription model. And what is the impact of the HANS system? So the HANS system has impacted very many areas. Let's talk about accuracy. The system is 93 to 95% accurate, so that when you feed the audio to it, within a minute or less, you have the transcript 93 to 95% accurate. Then what about transparency? We all know about Parliament is a House of Representatives. Members come to Parliament to represent their constituents. So there is a growing need for members of the public to know what Parliament is doing. How do we facilitate transparency as the Hansard? When we transcribe these reports and present them to the public, either through the bound volume or the website, we are facilitating information access for members, so they are able to see inside. Hansard becomes a window to the public to see inside Parliament. So the AI system has improved turnaround times for the rig Kogu such that once you feed that audio in less than a minute, sometimes 30 seconds, you have the transcript, which is raw. Give it, they have only 5 officers. And all these officers are editors. So it is floated into their portal, it is picked within the next 10 minutes, it's edited, and it's automatically uploaded into the website. Now, many issues will arise, of course, the labor unions, oh, you're sacking us. But the thing is, technology comes with its own challenges, but it also brings other opportunities, which I'll talk about. So the HANS system, apart from the transparency, there's also the issue of openness. You realize that with quick access to work of parliament by members of the public, it adds to the openness. People are able to quickly go through, and you know the Hansard, unlike broadcasting, the Hansard is a report, it is official. I'm not saying broadcasting is not official. We have our channel, it is. But I'm talking about official in the sense that you get that report, you can go to a court of law and challenge something. Like Senator Omtata goes to court a lot. He cannot go with a video clip of parliament. Yes, he can, but how efficient will that be? Now, if you go with a report clearly marked from here to here, Honorable so and so, or this bill violates the Constitution, I think the impact is bigger and it leads to more achievement in terms of openness. Now, how has the Rigi Kogu managed this? I'm concluding. The Rigi Kogu actually exposed the AI system to over 1,500 hours of debates. I talked about machine learning. So for the AI system to learn how the speaker members speak, you have to run the audio through that system for it to learn the nuances, how each members speak. So that is what was done. Then the 5% inaccuracy, I said it is up to 95% accurate. The 5% inaccuracy is now what is dealt with by the members of staff in the Rigi Kogu. In Kenyan Hansard, I think we know that there are some things that cannot be done by the AI. For example, we have our own formatting, we have our own house style. For example, yesterday we spoke, Dr. spoke about using British English. So there are certain things, we have procedures. For example, how many minutes do I have? Sorry? Sawa, I'm summarizing. Okay, I'm summarizing. Thank you. So it's very hard to summarize something of this nature because it's quite a lot, but I'll try. So in summary, what are the benefits of integrating AI into our Hansard production process? 1, enhanced efficiency. 2, improved accuracy. 3, increased accessibility. I've spoken to that. Advanced search capabilities is the fourth one. Then there is the issue of cost effectiveness. AI will never go on leave. AI will never fall sick. AI will never go on study leave, for example, etc., etc. You just need to keep updating the system. Then there's the issue of preservation of institutional knowledge. So AI tools can help with that. I've talked about real-time monitoring and analysis of issues, key issues that are important to parliamentarians. And then finally, what is the impact of AI on Hansard professionals? So you are aware that with this new system, there will be need for a paradigm shift in how we do our work. So this will impact us as Hansard officials. So how, one, the automation will lead to either stoppage of hiring of certain cadres, but the good thing is we will still need human input at the reading, editorial, proofreading stages. So these are things that I want to be blunt about. Yes, AI is good, but AI is also has its own weaknesses. Of course, the enhanced accuracy and quality, we will now have to focus more on editing than transcription. Then we will have to adopt new skills. For example, all those skills relating to managing the AI-powered tools and the system. So in conclusion, integration of this system will actually transform our roles and responsibilities. And the earlier we mentally prepare for it, the better, because this is a wind that is blowing. Can't stop it. So finally, my brother, what are the skills you need as an audio officer, as a reporter, as an editor, for you to brave this wind that is blowing? Okay? This is very important. One, critical thinking is paramount, because what is it that you have that the AI doesn't have? Okay? One, you need critical thinking, because in as much as AI can help in transcription and even editing, there are some things like human judgment, which is crucial for accuracy, that AI cannot give you. Then there is the issue of context comprehension. Okay? We talk about reading the mood of the house. Sometimes people speak in the house depending on the mood, either of the house, of the political parties outside there. So these are things that AI might not have, but you can have that. You must have that for you to interact properly with this. So the other one is language proficiency, and that is still a requirement for us. So you must continue being up to date with your language, because AI is learning. Can you learn faster than AI? So when you are an editor of this product of AI, you must be a step above the AI. So you must have a deep understanding of grammar, syntax, vocabulary, and parliamentary terminology. Okay. Then the other thing is you are able as human editors to navigate issues like dialects, accents, colloquialism, and even specialized parliamentary jargon. I doubt if AI will, it might have those capabilities in the future, but for now it doesn't. Then the last skill you need is attention to detail, which is not to be gainsaid. So precision and quality in your transcription or the product you produce after the AI has done it, that is a must. You must ensure that now you produce an accurate record of parliament. That still remains the same for Hansard processes. You remove the ambiguities, you remove the inconsistencies, you cut the errors, okay? Then adaptability, I think I've spoken to this, and I alluded to the Chinese saying, when you face a strong wind, are you the kind of person who builds a wall or builds a windmill? So I would like to think that you will be the kind of people who will build windmills. So you need to adapt. You need to grow wings and fly with that storm. Okay? So how? You will ask, as Hansard officers, embrace new tools. Software updates are a must. Technological innovation that comes, they'll keep on coming. This is not the end. As I said, this started 70 years ago and it will go on forever. So you need to be adaptable to these changes and leverage on the capabilities brought by new technologies. And then finally, ethical considerations. This is a very big issue with AI, and Dr. Koyabe might speak on that. I have little time, but there are things that the AI has vulnerabilities. For example, it might, which are the best examples? My colleague, my compatriot will deal with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had a lot to present, but due to time, thank you very much for lending me your ears.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let us give him a rousing applause. Yeah, we have Dr. Koyabe presenting here. So after which, we'll go to the plenary. I hope you've taken note of the the nitty-gritties you wanted to maybe make an inquiry. Thank you.
Koyabe, your 30 minutes, and start at 9.
Just hang on. Thank you so much. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers and especially the hack, leadership and all the counties and participants for really giving me this opportunity to be here to share some of my input into this particular aspect of AI. The discussion around my participation here did not start a few weeks ago. I think Rezian and I had this discussion, I think probably more than a year ago, of how we can be able to have this partnership where I can come and really be part of this very auspicious gathering. What I want to look at is something that has already been discussed. I know we don't have a lot of time. And in the last 3 days, there's been a lot of discussion around AI. There's been a lot of discussion around where do we start, and also discussions around what's the best approach that we need to implement as a county or a government or an institution or even an agency in moving the issue of AI. The perspective that I will take is probably just looking at what my colleague has just presented, and more importantly, trying to concentrate on what next in terms of the AI capability that we have and what needs to happen. So we are aware that there are many disadvantages or advantages that have been discussed on what AI could do and what AI cannot do. And it is true that AI cannot replace humans. We have to complement the capabilities of AI with what we are doing. But it's also important for us to be informed of what are the basic principles that are required, so that when you implement AI or use AI in whichever shape or form, you are following the fundamentals that have been agreed. What you see there are the list of countries that have been able to look at AI from a policy perspective in order to be able to discuss some of the very difficult issues that I'll share with you today, and then take them away and be able to contemplate on what should we do either as a county or even as parliament, so that we can be able to have a more coherent and effective way of the use of AI technology. There are only 2 countries. This was statistic that was taken roughly about the early 2000, I believe 2020. And by that time, it was only Kenya and South Africa in Africa that had actually looked at AI from a policy perspective. There are specific issues that you need to be aware of. And I'll go through some of these, and these are like 10 issues that you have to be aware of when it comes to AI usability. The first that has to be at the top of the list is the issue of why do we have to use AI? And we have to have this at the back of our mind. It is for the good use of technology. So therefore, issues such as aligning it with the development, the sustainable development agenda, and the well-being of the human fraternity is important. And I've underlined there very clearly, it is important that we develop what we call a trustworthy AI, something we can trust. I know it's difficult, but it's something that we can trust. Because if you look at biasness, for example, there are specific cases of biasness, and I'll show you an example, where you've got a biased way of how AI functions. So take, for example, the search engine. If you search for specific issues, and most of the AI engines were built, and I must say this very carefully, by men. So therefore, the search engines will have sort of like the man mentality. And the data that we have is posted in a certain way. So therefore, the engines are biased. They don't take into consideration the gender. So there is a push for this particular issue. AI should empower members of the society. So when you think about AI in whichever sector that you are, it should empower members of the society. It should enhance the public trust, because that's important in understanding what AI is. And one of the things that I've actually worked very hard on is to look at the issue of biasness of AI, especially in the engines, when it comes to the developers. I know we have people here who are technical. We have people here who are administrators, decision makers, and we also have practitioners. And what we've seen before is the issue where AI engines, because of the design, have a specific bias. And that is something that we've taken note of. And there's a paper there that you can refer to, which actually looks at gender bias of AI. The second principle is the human-centric principle. We should develop AI with the fundamental institutions of, or instruments of freedom, equality, fairness, the rule of law, and justice, and also data protection, which my colleague talked about. So therefore, when you're developing this system and using them, there has to be that value alignment of AI. It should not be used for the sake of punishing a specific community, for the sake of punishing a specific level of employers, for the sake of punishing a specific, or even alienating a specific sector of the society. So we should be able to have that in cognizance so that we are able to adhere to that. So therefore, a human-centric, principle number 2, is important. Principle number 3 is what Abdulmajid talked about, the openness and transparency. We need a system that is open, a system that is transparent, a system that can be put through the rigorous process and be able to be seen to be doing what it says on the tin. It has to foster an understanding of AI systems, which what my colleague has tried to do. We need to make stakeholders aware of the interaction. And I think this is important, because if you're going to talk of AI at an employment level, to government officials, to members of parliament, to any institution or agency, it's important that we make things clear. It's also important that we look at things such as, how does it affect the actions that we have? How does AI affect what we are going to do? We've talked about, I remember at lunchtime, we were talking about the issue of employment. It will lead to unemployment of specific level of employees. It could be true. But as an institution, you should then put a framework of how you train those individuals to supervise the processes of AI. So therefore, as most of the speakers who have come before me have said, they've said that AI could lead to other opportunities. And that's important. Therefore, having the principle that says we have to be careful of who we employ and what this means is important as an institution. So therefore, that's something that has to be taken care of. And of course, adverse effects of AI are true, but they can be manageable. The fourth principle, and I think my colleague also touched a little bit of this, is robustness. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this one. because the safety and how secure AI is builds trust. So the systems must be robust. Before you get the software that you're going to deploy into your environment, the system that you want to buy into your environment, what amount of due diligence have you done from the source where it was developed? What amount of due diligence have you done to understand the mechanism of communication within the system? What amount of due diligence have you done to know when things go wrong, how do you actually mitigate those particular risks? So an issue of risk analysis is important. All actors should apply a systematic risk management. You have to make sure that you understand that technology. And one thing that I would urge is that this is a very good platform to start this discussion. Many counties might want to buy a system. It might not be the same across all the counties. And it is allowed. But we need principles that guide all counties to understand what's the basic ingredients or foundation or components that our system needs to have in order to be compatible across the country, if that is the need, or across the region, given that we have also colleagues from other parts of the East African community. That's important because when the system lands, like what Abdulmajid was talking about here, and gets the database improved, that information could be shared across the systems within the country or the nation or the entities that are using that particular system. So therefore, we need to understand that. There are some risks that we are aware of, but these risks can be made harder for the adversary in case they want to attack a system, but also we could be able to learn what are the best systems that are out there and the practice of how we use them. So principle number 4 is robustness, security, and safety. Accountability. All actors should be accountable. We should make sure that we are accountable of our action. What is the design, the development, and the process of operation, and even the deployment? How accountable are we? Do we have the right people in place? Do we have the right systems in place? Have we consulted across the stakeholders topology so that we can be able to understand that? And in accordance with the roles and the applicable regulatory frameworks that are in place, it's important that we do that. So therefore, accountability becomes very critical. Investment in AI research and development cannot be emphasized any further. We have to make sure that we have institutions, we have people, we have the systems, agencies that are looking at AI in a more critical way. I would urge that counties need to consider a concerted effort to understand what is the national agenda on AI. In Kenya, which I understand very well, the first discussion took place in 2018. And at the time, it was to discuss the policy on emerging technology. I know there's some discussion going on within the ministry to make sure that they can come up with specific policies that can guide things like AI, Internet of Things, and so forth. But I think countries or counties that are represented here need to be part of that particular conversation. So therefore, governments should consider the long-term public investment in R&D. That's important. We've talked about the issues around the private investment, because that also plays a key part, because private sector owns most of the businesses. They employ most of the people or the populations that we serve. And it's important that we take that into consideration. So therefore, investment in R&D is a key principle. The seventh principle is fostering digital ecosystem for AI, and this one is simply saying governments should foster the development of and access of digital ecosystem for the AI. That means encourage small entrepreneurs, small to medium enterprises to come up so that they can start using AI and have institutions that can provide guidance. Discussions such as this are very useful, and I'm very glad that this is a starting point. And we've seen the case of Estonia, where they're using their system and complementing that system in their parliamentary discussion. And don't take it for granted. Estonia started from very far to be where they are. So it's not just a matter of plug and play, but they can be a very good example of a country that has been able to go through the principles that I'm talking about to reach where they are. Okay. The second last one is how do we shape an enabling policy environment? I think it is important that this discussion should continue of how we should shape the policy environment, ensuring that we consider things such as experimental trials. It's risky to have an AI system in your parliament that you don't understand how it works. So therefore, it's advisable to have a trial, test it, understand it, agree on some of the issues, deliberate on the errors, improve on the performance, enhance how it actually delivers before you allow it to be part of the process or part of what we have. I've talked a lot around the continent on issues such as sandboxes, which you see there. So these are important tools that you can use as a regulator, where you can have specific rules that do not apply. So what it means is, for example, if we have a system that we want to test, we could allow a trial. We could use it for specific sessions in parliament or in the county debates, but test it as a parallel to the ongoing tools that you have. And that will give you a very good comparison of the performance and what issues are, and even to train people. It's also important for us to have this discussion on the policy, which leads to regulation and leads to legislation so that we can legislate on issues that have been tried and tested. So that is important. How do we make sure that we get the policy in place? Something that can guide us, that tells us when you put in an AI system, make sure you take care of the employees, for example. Make sure that you are able to put a framework of how people can be able to enhance their skills, because they're going to be made redundant by the use of AI. These are basic principles that are very important. Last but not least is the human capacity and the labor market, which we just talked about. Governments should work closely with all stakeholders. It is not a matter of an individual. It's not a matter of a few. It is a multi-stakeholder engagement, including the public. So before you put that system, tell the public what you want to do. Tell the stakeholders where you are. Inform them of what you're trying to achieve. So governments should take those steps very seriously. And here we are referring to institutions, agencies, and even county governments as we know them today. So that's important. So therefore, we need to understand the labor market. What's the impact of AI into the labor market, and so forth. And then lastly, we need to cooperate. And I'm very glad within the YALA they're here, with the East African community here, and indeed, most of this cooperation is taking place as we speak. So therefore, cooperation, not only within our borders, but outside our borders is important. It's important for us to have knowledge of people who understand the technology, the experts in the field, the practitioners in the field, so that we can be able to draw examples from different points. I would challenge that the document that was created for the benchmarking in Estonia should be shared across all participants within the region. Let's share information so that the country that can't afford to go to Estonia could learn from those who went to Estonia. So therefore, sharing of information, I know inherently we don't share, but sharing is important so that we can be able to learn across the piece. So these are 10 very important issues that we need to remember in order to be able to judge our path. And I know the question is now, how do we do that? With a conclusion, there is a way forward. So first of all, we need to make sure that we promote the understanding and the implementation of trustworthy AI. What we're doing now is very important. We have to promote it. We have to understand it and we have to agree on it. And then the next bit is we need to engage the users, the parliamentarians, and so forth, depending on what stakeholder segments you have, to understand what is it that you're trying to achieve. And please use the experts to guide you to be able to take the right decisions. That's important. And then the next step is to understand the country context. That means it could be a county, it could be a country, the context of what you're trying to achieve. Does it have the support of the overall government structure? Is it something that has been shown to be useful? And I think it is. And that will be very useful. And then, of course, lastly, is the issue of developing the policies, regulations, and the strategy framework of how you start building your application of a trustworthy AI, whether at the county level, government level, or even national level or regional level. So that's what I thought I should be able to share with you today. And I know we're short of time, but that actually concludes my presentation. But just off the cuff, I did have a set of other slides which we had agreed with my colleague that we shall make them available for you. Those slides give you the usage and how AI can be able to make your work effective. We've also talked about the qualifications of people who can be able to use AI, and I think Abdulmajid touched a little bit on that. There's a need for us to continue with these particular sessions of this nature. What I would encourage is that let's try and create groups within the counties of individuals who can be able to help with the understanding of AI and issues that we've just talked about. That will be very useful. In my discussions, of course, with Resin, I've also offered that we can offer our technical expertise pro bono so that we can be able to make sure that the counties and other areas can be able to continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Koyabe. Let us give him a rousing applause. In the same breath, let me recognize the presence of Professor Diwari, Dr. Oranga, and I can see the number is surging. We had a long dinner, and we appreciate. Most of us must have woken up tired. Allow me invite Majid. He wants to demonstrate something, and we'll take it back to the plenary. Okay, sir. We can have the presenter, Dr. Koyabe. You can come over the board, and the task force members. You can come over. Thereafter, Majid is going to demonstrate something here, and after which we'll open the plenary for any question. Thank you.
Yes, it's okay. Members, I had mentioned, sorry, I had mentioned something about transcription of Kiswahili, but because of the pressure from Kilunja and team, I could not present. I am happy that he has given me another opportunity to do that. So this will be a very brief presentation. I've done it before elsewhere, and please allow me to do it again here. I don't know why when I come here my mouse refuses to work. I don't know why the mouse is, it has refused.
Do you have an extra slot? Let's move it to another slot.
Give me a sec. It's because of, I think, this. That's fine. Push it this way. It's not showing. I don't know.
Duplicate. You need to go for duplicate.
Okay, wait. But I was just here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to display my laptop, but it's showing me something else. So kindly give me a minute. Okay. Good. Now, members, I have chosen the Honorable Member for Nyali. Oh, it's not showing. Have I closed? Just come here. Display, this one. Everything good needs a sacrifice, so please be patient a bit so that we can do keep changes. We have a few forgotten to keep changes. Close it. Thank you. So this is a very short clip of Muhammad Ali when he was moving the anti-LGBTQ bill.
Sasa wanaingia bara la Afrika kumaliza bara la Afrika na hatutakubali nchi hii ipotezwe na wazungu walioleta dhulma, wanaotembea katika dunia kuleta dhulma. Wamemaliza Uarabuni, sasa wanaingia bara la Afrika.
So I don't know which reporter transcribed this part. If he or she is here, how long did you take? Is the reporter here? How long did you take? Sorry? 3 hours. So members, this is a classic example of the work of AI. I want to guarantee you that I'll take the exact minutes of the video to transcribe this text. Okay? So let me demonstrate. I'll start it, and then let me put up my paraphernalia. It's very simple. I'm using a web-based application.
Hatutakubali nchi hii ipotezwe na wazungu walioleta dhulma, wanaotembea katika dunia kuleta dhulma. Wamemaliza Uarabuni, sasa wanaingia bara la Afrika, kumaliza bara la Afrika, na wanakuja na neno moja, haki za binadamu. Hakuna haki ya ushoga ya mwanaume na mwanaume kupangana. Hakuna haki ya mwanamke na mwanamke kupangana. Hizo si haki za binadamu, hizo ni haki za kishetani. Angalia katika hata vitabu vitakatifu, wanasema kulikuwa na Adamu na Hawa, Adam and Eve. Hakuna mahali imeandikwa kulikuwa Adamu na Steve. Iko mahali katika Biblia imeandikwa Adam and Steve. Hata shetani anamwogopa Mwenyezi Mungu, alipoanza kufanya majaribio alimwendea Hawa, alimwendea Eve, hakumwendea Adamu. Shetani mwenyewe anajua hilo halikubaliki, lakini sisi binadamu tunataka kuanza kujifanya sisi tunaweza kupinga dini ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Sisi leo tunaweza kaa katika moja, tutunge sheria ya kupinga, na ifahamike wazi kwa wale ambao hawajui, huwezi badilisha herufi moja katika Biblia wala Qurani. Katika katiba unaweza badilisha, lakini katika neno la Mungu huwezi badilisha herufi. Serikali ni lazima iwe kali, itoe adhabu kali. Katiba imekataa ya nchi ya Kenya, hatukubali. Katiba imekataa, Biblia na Qurani imekataa, dini zote zimekataa. Yale ambayo yametajwa na mahakama kuu ni makosa, wameteleza, lakini warekebishe ili Wakenya wasamehe. Binadamu si mkamilifu, binadamu huteleza, lakini haya ya kusema Kenya tumeweza kuwapatia nafasi eti hawa wanaokwenda kinyume na maumbile waweze kupewa mwanya waunde NGO, mashirika yasiyo ya kiserikali, ili waweze kujulikana ni wangapi, waweze kusaidika. Hatuwezi kuwa na mashirika ya mashoga nchini Kenya. Hatuwezi kuwa na mashirika ya wasagaji nchini Kenya. Mashirika yatakokuwa ni mashirika ya kusaidia, ni mashirika yanayoomba Mwenyezi Mungu, ni mashirika yanayoheshimu katiba ya Kenya, na ni mashirika lengo lake kuu ni kuinua taifa hili, wala si kupoza taifa hili.
Vile Mungu aliumba sisi, kila kiungo cha binadamu kiko na kazi yake. Hatuwezi kubadilika ifanye kazi tofauti. Mdomo ya kusema na ya kula, mkono ni kushika vitu na kufanya nayo kazi, miguu ni ya kutembea, na sehemu zetu za chini ziko na kazi zao. Ya kike ni kuchukua mbegu na baadaye kutoa mtoto, iko kazi nyingine. Ya kiume ni kupanda mbegu na pia kutoa maji ya machafu ya makonjo, iko ingine. Na hata ukiangalia matiti, wanaume wanaweza kutamani matiti, lakini kazi ya matiti ni ya mtoto kunyonya. Hiyo ingine unaongeza ni hiyo Mungu alifanya hapo trick kidogo, upende ile, lakini ile kazi anataka ifanywe, mtoto atoke apate ulishaji akule.
Okay, members, that ends my presentation. I will give you a minute, just a minute. Let me just end this. So, members, I think you have seen the level of accuracy. I don't know how you will gauge it. Is it 56%, 60, 70, 90, 50? Okay, there's a 50 there. Any contrary opinion? Yes, you should be the last one, but continue. Over 80%. Thank you for being honest. Any other opinion? I can hear a lady's voice. The third of the Constitution says we must have a third gender. So where is that voice? Mudhoni. Okay. What percentage? It's very accurate. So how many minutes did we take to do all that? It took someone 3 hours. So tell me that this is not good. And this is free. I don't know where Dr. Koyabe has gone. I'm just curious. Sorry, I'm just curious what vulnerabilities we as Parliament have by using this. By the way, this is Google Documents. It is free of charge. It is online. So maybe what we need to explore is this data that is, we call it sensitive from Parliament. How is it handled? Who handles it when it goes to that server? I can see Dr. my lecturer has a hand up. Allow me to pass on the mic.
Okay, is it already question time, or I can wait until question time?
I was actually trying to pick your minds on this, but
Okay.
depending on how the president guides us, we will do what. Is it okay, Madam President? Mr. President, sir, can proceed. Thank you.
All right. Yes. Well, I don't know how you're measuring the percentages, 80, 85. I don't know whether you counted the number of words vis-a-vis. I don't know how you're measuring the percentage. However, I wanted to say this. Of course, this is good, Abdulmajid, but look at the bigger picture. It can be good in the short term. The days I went to school, the day Dr. Koyabe went to school, these kind of things did not exist. There was no Google, there was no AI. For you to know something, you actually go to a library,
read,
borrow books and read. The other alternative is that you booked an appointment with somebody who was knowledgeable about the subject. Then you went and had a discussion with that person. But see how it turned out. Now look at today, when all these things that are very good are available. Ask Professor here, ask Dr. Koyabe, I can tell you on very good authority that majority of the students that I teach, to come across one that you can say is outrightly brilliant is a problem. Yet they have access to these things. So I'm just wondering, really, how comes the availability of these gadgets has not made people more sophisticated in terms of the things that you mentioned, critical thinking, knowledge, thinking on their feet, and so on and so forth, all right? So what I want you to address, and I agree this is good, if you go to other parts of the world, of course, the students are brilliant and they have access to these things. In our world, it is the opposite. So my question is, what is the missing link in our world? How comes the availability of AI in Kenya, for example, has made learners less sophisticated, while in some parts of the world, it has made learners more sophisticated? What is the missing link? That's what I want you to address. How comes AI is diminishing our human capital, while in other parts of the world, it's actually enhancing the human capital? What is the missing link? That's what I want you people to address. Lastly, just to show you how bad this can be. Have you guys seen NGO? When the guy said NGO, you saw what the AI wrote? Oh.
Order.
Okay. Now, if the guy who was transcribing this thing does not have the sophistication I'm talking about, actually the thing will go as oh. You see what I'm trying to say? Yes, so that is what I'd like you to address. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I think those are fundamental issues that have arisen out of this. Maswala nyeti, na ningeomba the panelists now to take note, then we deliberate on that. So I beg to end my presentation here, then we can discuss the rest as a part. Thank you very much.
I think there's some questions that have been raised which are very pertinent. And what has come from the floor is a true example of where we need to start the fundamentals. Let me give you an example. If you take your car to a garage today and the mechanic says, tutaiweka kwa hii system, alafu tuone the errors that are there. Some cars actually have what we call automated system that can actually tell what errors are appearing within the engine in specific areas, which is fine and dandy, as they say. But I think it's important that we understand that the fundamentals of how a car functions is important as well. What we have here is tools that can make our work easier, but it's also important to have people who understand semantics, people who understand things to do with how sentences have been used, for example, the summarization, the format of what has happened, and even an example of how you translate specific acronyms. So therefore, the understanding and having the basic knowledge is a fundamental key point. And I think, Dr. the way you're saying it, it's true, which is a big challenge. Therefore, we need to take people through this, the basics to understand before they apply this, so that they can be able to rectify errors that are there. I'll try and stop there for now, just to allow others to comment, and then we'll come back to this particular point.
Okay, also to respond to what Dr. said, this is a free software, but for those that you subscribe, they have advanced algorithms. So you will find they have improved speed and accuracy. But still, this will not replace humans, because the presenter said, a human being understands the context, the nuances, the accents, and you are aware we have as many accents as members of parliament. You will still need someone to correct that. But with time, this solution is able to understand. You train it. And I'd just like to advise the legislatures who are experimenting on this to check on the licensing model. You have one-time payment, and also you have that perpetual license. So, and if you're using that subscription-based software, it may affect you in the long term, because it's a recurring expense. So you may need to check on that, and also on the features and the limitations that they have. Yes, you might need some that are a bit cheaper, but do they have the features that you want to have? So that is something that you need to be careful on. And because of shortage of time, I'll stop there.
Sorry. My mind is, I just thought of picking it from a perspective of what brings about an invention. It's what somebody called necessity. I want to look at it from a Hansard perspective. One time as I worked in the county assembly of Vihiga, there's a time Mr. Pundiki came to train us, and he told us that there are times they would move around with committees, and sometimes the chairman of the committee would want to report the following day of what transpired the previous day. And he would be under pressure. He would not even sleep that night. For me, sorry, these things, I don't know. I'm used to the big mic. So what I think AI is doing for us, maybe that's better. What AI is doing for us is, when I joined here again, Parliament, my senior Odongo used to introduce himself as a typist. I'm glad he no longer does that. Because what I think AI has done and is going to do for us is moving us away from clerical work, from a typist, to a thinker, like the good professor is talking about, to a decision maker. Because, for example, if that comes out as the road draft, as a reader or as a reporter, you have to ask yourself then, is it NGO or NGO? And then what we also need to realize, and that's what Madam Mwanboi told us when we came in, we are not basically typists. We are reporters. And in typing, in reporting, there's an aspect of style that is used. So this one gives us a block, but when we sit down, there is a Hansard guide that has been approved. So you have to go back there and indicate. We don't, for example, say NGO here. We say non-governmental organization, then we put it in brackets, NGO. That one cannot be done by the AI. So AI will remove us from the clerical work and allow us to think through. It is sad, the professor mentioned that we are no longer a thinking country because of things that have been made easier. I'm small in the field of academia, though I don't think AI could be the reason. We just have a lazy generation that wants everything without working hard. And for me, a person who loves thinking and making decisions and coming up with ideas, when you have something to take care of this typing thing, you are able to become even better in a way. So AI could not be a problem. It just exposed how lazy a generation we are raising that cannot even cook. It has to wait for Glovo to supply food. No, no. It's not a problem of AI. I'm thinking from my experience in the county assembly, and somebody mentioned here, there was a time the speaker would ask me, so where is the Hansard report of this thing? Somebody has gone to court. The speaker believed you just need to feed that thing in the computer and the Hansard report is out. We imagined it could not work. Believe you me, it's workable now. You can do it. I have seen it. A Hansard report and take is sent to us, and within a second or two, it gives you the transcribed version. So what you're reduced to now is an editor. However, again, it may not be as fast like 1 hour, depending on the style. For example, when it's a bill, bills have got a way we capture. The AI will not tell us, amend a question to be put, words to be inserted. The AI does not capture that. The AI does not capture even who is speaking. For example, Honorable so and so. So my take is, even with the expanded mandate of committees in Parliament, the time we came in, we only had 30 committees. Now we have 45 committees. Chairpersons of committees are growingly getting interested in the use of Hansard. Initially, Hansard was just not known. It will become very difficult to transcribe all those 45 committees, and the chairpersons want them. I believe with AI in our work situation, we will be able to have reporters attached to those committees, and that reporter can transcribe that work using AI. Tomorrow, the chair can get that report. So, oh, sorry. Thank you.
Habari zenu. Shida ya kuongea baadaye ni kwamba you run the risk of
Okay, just to summarize my part on this, I know I've covered quite a bit regarding the need for us to be able to have a concerted effort, to have a framework, to have a policy that can guide most of the practitioners in the room on how we use AI. It's also, I think we all accept that AI could be used to complement what we already have in place, especially when it comes to the automation of transcripts, for example, which we've seen it makes it faster. We've also seen that AI improves the quality assurance process. So for example, specific errors could be identified very quickly. You don't need necessarily to go back and check those particular errors. We've also seen the issue of the ability of AI to summarize text. And you've seen an example where we were shown from a speech that has just been presented to a text that has been summarized. And then, as the panel said, you could then use that to do the more advanced editorial practices that are allowed, the formatting that is required, and therefore saving a lot of time going forward. There's also the issue around the ability to be able to identify specific metadata that is within a particular text. So for example, if you're doing a search or you're doing a specific reference, it is quicker using an AI engine to get those specific sets and to see what it is that you're looking at. The AI engines also have an ability to do what we call sentimental analysis, to see what is the tone of the particular presentation. Was it positive? Was it negative? Or was it neutral? So using specific amount of data, you could do that. Topic modeling is a component that can be embedded into an AI engine. And what that does is that it takes raw text and then categorizes it in specific types of topics that you might be interested in. And that is also important when you're doing any gathering. You can imagine if you're telling someone from these Hansard books, could you gather the debates that relate to issues to do with health? Or can you gather from these books the debate to do with something to do with governance or politics or something like that? So therefore, using those kind of modeling that AI engine provides can give that kind of component. And then, of course, lastly here is the issue of, we've talked about translation. You can translate from one language to the next one. And of course, learning is a key component when it comes to those areas. Content recommendation, I think we've talked about it, and also something to do with the historical analysis. How do we keep the historical component of what we've done? And somebody talked about institutional memory. So therefore, using this context and using these engines, we can build onto that. And then there are issues such as the areas of real fact check that you can have within an AI engine, and accessing features of different, accessing specific features within a specific AI engine so that you can be able to be more efficient. So I think with that, we see that there are some advantages, but also equally, there is a lot of responsibility that is bestowed on us. So in summary, I think we should look at AI as a complementary tool to what we are doing. However, we need to make sure that we have a clear framework of how we apply AI, whether they are tools that are online, tools that we find them, so that we can approve in a unified way what needs to be done going forward, and therefore improve that. And then finally, we have to invest into our human resource. And I think the professor said that earlier, and I think James also said that, that the human resource is something that we have to actually invest in so that we can understand the basics of what we're talking about, and therefore correct ourselves whenever we have an engine that does not give us the results that we need. Thank you.
Let me just allow one or two to maybe give reactions. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Kelvin Lingasi. I think towards the professor from, is it Nairobi University, is it? University of Nairobi. I just have an input to add on that. So in terms of your question, there's a paper that went on. It's called how technology investigates on how social construct and ethics works upon it, upon technology. So on this paper, it deals with social construction of technology, which is SCOT, technology framework, epistemic culture and actor, and network theory, which is called ANT. So the actor is us as humans, and me being part of the Gen Z society who says yo and what's up, it's not that we're lazy, it's just we're a culture of humans where we aspire to do things creatively. The way we talk, the way we express is how we deal with social constructs. So technology doesn't make us lazy, it enhances us as creatives because we can do two or more things, even if it's not better, but we can enhance it. Why can we enhance it? Because now instead of us going to look at so many books in a library, we can just quickly search what we want to see and what interests us. So we directly to the point. It's not to say that we're lazy or incompetent. It's just to say, how can we get our information as quick as possible, as efficient as possible, and how can we utilize that information? So upon that framework, that's how we deal with that. So if you guys keep on saying technology is going to ridicule us because of its advancements, well, like Majid said in his quote, if there's a wind blowing, are you going to be the person who's going to build the windmill, or are you just going to sit back? That's upon you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lengasi. I also want to react to what Professor said. Professor, I don't know whether I belong to the group you are referring to. I was in the University of Nairobi from 2010 to 2015, and I went to the library. So I don't know whether, yes, but I totally agree with Dr. Yes, I use AI in transcription because I'm a reporter. But one thing that I realized, AI cannot add a lot of quality in the work that I do. It can only, sometimes it can make the work easier because it gives me the raw data. But for example, if I don't know Kiswahili and I'm transcribing Senator Mwinyi Mondigi of Embu, it means that then I cannot add any quality in the document. Then that is why I'm reading the books that, like I'm now reading Kujema, so that when I meet with Senator Mundigi or Senator Mazayo, I can add some quality on the work. So as much as we want to, okay, I embrace AI completely. I'm on YouTube learning, at least learning how it operates. Of course, listening to courses like machine learning and everything, because it's a wind which is blowing. I don't want to be swept away by the wind. But I must be very clear, like what Dr. said, that the quality of our work as reporters can only improve on based on the quality in us, not in the AI. I don't know whether we understood what he was saying. For example, yesterday we were talking about Waheshimiwa don't know Kiswahili, they have a problem with English, their dialect and everything. Then we as reporters, what are we doing to know the Kiswahili? What are we doing to know the English? If you don't know the English, how will AI assist me? How will AI assist, for example, to report to Senator Cherargei of Nandi County? Because he always starts the sentences from back to the front. How will it construct him? It cannot do much. It is now me to look at the document, the raw data, and make sense of what he's saying. Thank you.
One more.
Good morning, colleagues. On the issue of AI, I think I can critique it in equal measure. Somebody during the start of one of the presentations in the structure, I think it was addition. Hansard is key. Is we among the key pillars among in assemblies and parliament. IT is supposed to, so it's supposed to come and complement our work and not take over. Because as I've seen now, the transcription process of the AI is happening. It will still need that Hansard reporter to listen to the deliberations and go through and see and confirm how the deliberations went. It is not 100%. Somebody was saying it's 85. I think it's about 50 because you still have to go through and see if they said as it is and what it said, and you can even add something else. I'm from Laikipia County Assembly. I've been approached by a number of people who have software on AI. One of them, the one I can actually rank is it's called imla.io. You can even look it up in your servers. It is owned by Kenyans. Kenyans actually it's a Kenyan who brought it up, and the servers are okay. Of course, servers iko majuu zote. They came up with a language. The only language they've had a problem with having is from the northern part. And I've actually tried to work with it in my transcription, and I can give it maybe at 70%. But you see, the essence of human aspect, I mean, the human nature input has to come there. So as much as we want to appreciate it, we'll give it another maybe 10 years before he keys to AI. We still need that input, because even if we want to appreciate or accept that AI, it has to have a periodical reviews, updates, inputs. A lot of factories are involved in it, which involves human beings. So even if you want to appreciate that AI, as human beings, we have to add the aspect of our intellect and changes. Like I think one of my counterparts were discussing about border. I think it has to be in the dictionary. Kamkunji. It is mentioned every time in all assemblies. Wanjiko. You see? Thank you.
So once again, speaking about AI, my friend there said AI came over 70 years ago. That's very true. In fact, for me, I've been using AI since 2015. What I was saying yesterday. So with time, you'll find that you are used to this thing, only that AI is supposed to complement your work. It can never give you 100%. That's one thing we should agree. AI will never give you 100%. Reason is, in Kenya, okay, we are all developers. They are developers, software developers. But you'll find that most of these softwares and AI, nyingi ni za majuu from US, UK, outside Africa. So as a Kenyan, when you can't use the softwares and the AIs, you'll find that utapata ugumu. Reason number one, accent. Accent is one thing that it will break away the coordination. So take an example from UK, English UK, they speak Namapua. What I'm saying is ABCD. So when you come to put that audio, you load it to the software, it won't give you the correct results. Same case in Kenya we have the 47 languages. Example, Mkikuyu akiongea, when you go and upload the software, the audio for your software, it will give you zero results. Reason being accent. Number two, these softwares and the AIs, the way they were developed, some of them, I think, okay, Kenyans also, we are a bit, inaitwaje, tunavuka mipaka. We like exploring, which of course it's a great thing, because there was one of the softwares that was being used long time ago. So ikakuwa people, when they knew about it, they would even, okay. Yeah, a minute. So you'll find that people will even upload songs to the AI, and the AI will give you the lyrics you want. So ikafika mahali the developers knew about ABCD, people wanavuka mpaka with this thing because of this credibility. So they had to lock. In fact, some AIs, you cannot use them while in Kenya. So in Abidi, you start using the VPNs and everything to use the softwares. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, one more thing. Guys, I'm keep on hearing reiterations. Accent. Guys, like, what are we doing here? Right? Like, we are trying to find the solution, rather embrace technology, because we can't always going back to the same thing and saying, I'm reiterating because of accents. I mean, Americans have 42 states. There's Texas. A guy will talk in a different accent. You'll have a person from Michigan, he'll talk in a different accent. You'll have a guy in California, he'll talk in a different accent. The solution is this: embrace technology. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you very much. What's your name, Eliason? Kelvin. Okay, I like the enthusiasm. All right, guys, I wanted to just make a clarification because a number of speakers have responded to what I said. Number one, I think maybe a number of you misunderstood what I said. Okay, I think he got what I said. I am not against AI. I am actually on your side. What I want you to understand is the most constructive use of AI, in my opinion, is that you must develop it alongside human capital, as Dr. Koyabe said. And I told you the problem we have in Kenya, in my opinion, is that the AI appears to be moving faster than the human capital. That is what I was telling you. And I'm saying what I think the AI should move hand in hand with the human capital. Okay, so that's number one. I didn't say that this generation is lazy. That was not me. That came from somewhere out there. Okay, it wasn't me who said that. What I said was, as an educator, and just so you know, I have been in this business of educating people since 2005. I've been doing it for 17 years, so I talk on very good authority. I have consistently seen deterioration of standards. Okay, and the first step to us being a better person, my dear son, is accepting what are your weaknesses as a generation, and how can you address them. And I'll tell you what your weakness is. Your weakness is your generation is more interested in what you want. You remember he said, I go to the library and I pick what I want. That's what you said. What you need is more important than what you want. In our generation, we embraced what we needed and what we wanted. Your generation appears to be only interested in what you want, and that is a demerit. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, as he said, if today you went to a hospital and it's a big problem, and you had two doctors, you are a doctor from Professor Dr. Koyabe's generation and a doctor of this generation, who will you trust with your child? There are doctors we go to nowadays, and they're telling him what is going wrong with you, he starts Googling. The doctor is Googling. That is how far we've come. And that's why I'll finish my big point is, let's develop AI, let's embrace AI. I support it totally, But while we do that, let's also develop the human aspect, the human of that. If you're a human being and you take away the AI and the human being is useless, I think we're in danger. But if you're a human being, but when you take away the AI or not, the human being is still functional, then I think you have a better deal. That is the point I'm passing. Okay, thank you.
I think this is a very interesting debate, and we might sit here forever and we will not conclude this debate. But in winding up, I just wanted to say something. Let us look at the global south. Let us look at us in terms of our development, politically, socially, technologically. Okay? And I think I will be correct to moot a theory and say that considering the fact that we might be behind the global north by 200 plus years in terms of all those sectors of development, we as the global south are sometimes pushed into certain aspects of development which now, for the lack of a better word, we have not grown into it, okay? And I'll give an example of politics, the concept of democracy, okay? Democracy has been in the West and it has been growing for the last 200 plus years, okay? We are like, is it 50 years old plus a few years behind? So, how do you now relate that fact to this other fact that the way we handle our democracy goes against all the ideals of democracy? And I want now to just juxtapose that idea to this other idea of technology, that America, UK, Europe, they are ahead of us by 200 years plus. I can see my lecturer grinning. You're welcome to poke holes in my theory, but I still posit that we are still pushed into these things when we are not ready. That explains your position that yes, we have these developments, but instead of us growing with them, we are actually digressing. We are becoming less intellectual because we are now relying 100% on them. It is because we have not grown with that technology. As I said, AI is 70 years plus old. How old is Kenya in AI? I was first exposed to AI in 2010. There's a program called Spider. How many have heard of Spider? Yes, thank you. Spider started in 2010, and I actually toyed with that software for transcribing, but it had very many issues. In fact, it had so many challenges, it was not worth utilizing that solution because you had to train your computer. You know, nowadays you are training AI, but with that one, you are training your computer to learn you as a person, as an individual. How do you speak? When you are tired, how do you speak? When you are angry, how do you speak? When you have a flu, how do you speak? So that you will take like 3 months to train that software on your computer to recognize your voice, your accent, your state of mind, how you speak when you're angry, mad, and all that. Then, after you've done all that, once you start using it, the day you are absent, your colleague cannot use that computer. That's how I met AI. So look at how far we have come. So please allow me to, I don't know, I'll call it Abdulmajid 2024. We can develop that theory further. But that's my theory. Thank you very much.
I think we've gone round and round this debate, but let me make a few things so that we can really crystallize what needs to be understood. Now, an AI system has what we call an engine within it, something that takes in information and gives you information in a certain way. The engine depends on specific algorithms so that it can be able to synthesize what it takes and then gives you a product of what it has understood and given you out. The fundamentals here are that we have people who develop these algorithms. And sometimes these algorithms have biasness, as we've seen. These algorithms are not accurate. They don't give you what really you would want to get based on the input that you put in that particular engine. So number one, we have to understand that there is an engine that has an algorithm. These algorithms are developed by people. So there has to be some issues there that needs to be looked at. The second issue is when you take the information and you put it into the AI system, then that information has specific characteristics. And as somebody said, garbage in, garbage out, it means if you put information that is already biased, the system will definitely give you an output that might be biased because that information is not correct at all. That's why it's important that you pass the AI engine into as much information as possible. The Estonia example is a good one because what they say is, do you have audio? That means you have to train the engine so that it gives you accuracy. Then what that means is that an AI system cannot work from day one. It has to be given more information for it to start becoming more accurate as it goes along. I think ChatGPT is a good example. Those who use the version 3 and you use now version 4, you'd find that there's a fundamental difference in terms of what you get, depending on the query that you put in. So we have to understand those basic fundamentals, that you have information that has to be fed into this engine so that it gives you the accuracy that you require in the long term. What we are calling for is there has to be what we call a regularized use of AI, especially in institutions, in governments, in parliaments, and any other agency that wants to deploy AI because of the risks that we've talked about, where people are doing things, shortcut and stuff like that, and then getting results wrong. Or you can imagine getting the wrong medical output just because an AI engine did not take the right information. Those are the kind of risks that we're saying. So there is an ethical component to this. For responsible governments and institutions, you've got to have a framework of how you introduce this particular technology. And understanding that framework can be a good starting point because then you guard against the ills, the errors, the infiltration of maybe cyber attacks and so forth that we've talked about. So the question really is, how do we get this ecosystem in a more organized way that we would wish? Hence the reason that I came back to say, let's understand the basic principles that are required. And let's have an effort that can actually consolidate the ideas that are in this house into a way that we can move forward. Otherwise, we'll have differences in implementation, we'll have differences in the quality, we'll have differences in other areas. But the final aspect is to remember that we have to get the basics. Suppose the AI system shuts down. Do we stop working? I don't think so. So therefore, we have to fall back to the mechanism that are manual, that we know very well, and hence the reason why we need to have people who are well trained. And I just want to reflect back on what my colleague, Dr. James said, that it's important that we actually do the need, understand what those needs are before actually going for what we want. In the old days, it was both of that. The need and the want were things that we were very keen on. But nowadays, it is very true that it's only what we want, but not understanding how we reached there. It's important to understand how we reached there before accepting the output that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. And we proceed to the second session. And they have done their best, and I hope we are all abreast with the content they have so far given out. Let us give them a hearty clap. Thank you. Madam Florence, come over and usher in the panelists for the next session. Pardon? Tea break. The president asked us to.
No, there is not. There's no tea break. I don't know.
There is a. But the president asked us to see the
Is he ready?
Yeah?
The president.
The clerk, they have gone to receive the clerk.
Okay, that's fine.
That's why squeeze time and run for the tears before they get it. Yes, run for the tears for the tears.
And we'll be looking at developing a curriculum for the Hansard. Our facilitator is Mr. Sydney Lugaga, Senior Legal Counsel